Hello and welcome back. Alright, so in this lesson, it's all about the Levels tool. Alright, so the Levels tool is very similar to the Curves tool that we just learned about in the previous lesson, but there is a distinct difference between the two, and we're going to go over that in just a moment. So both the Tone Curve and the Levels tool is used to edit your image and to control the tone level of your image. You can also adjust your RGB channels individually in the Levels tool, just like you can with the Curves tool. Now, as you can see from the Levels panel, we have our eyedropper tools on the left, which can be used to quickly remove a color cast either from the black points, the white points, or the midtones. And we can see we also have a histogram just like we did in the Tone Curves. And just below the histogram, we have some markers, and these represent the black point, the midtone, and the white points of the histogram, which is very similar to what you can do with the Tone Curves as well. And these represent the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights, which allow you to adjust the contrast of your image. Now here's the big difference between Levels and Curves. The Levels adjustment will proportionately change all of the tones in the tonal range, whereas the Curves allows you to choose which portion of the tone scale you wish to adjust, and this gives you more precision and control over your tonal adjustments versus the Levels tool. So I would kind of refer to the Levels adjustment tool as quick and dirty, whereas the Tone Curve is precise and clean. So when would you use one over the other? Well, you would use the Levels when you only want to adjust the black or white points to adjust global contrast, or maybe you want to lighten or darken the entire tonal range. You would want to use the Curves tool when you want to make a subtle, precise adjustment for the visual relationship of the tone values. So for example, let's say you just want to lighten the lights and darken the shadows. And we learned about this in the previous lesson, and it's known as an S-curve. I would also recommend the Tone Curve if you have a more advanced type of edit that needs to be applied. So for example, you could have an S-curve and then within that Tone Curve have another smaller S-curve along the shadows, midtones, or the highlights to fine-tune a specific area of your image. So in general, Curves are more precise and will allow you to make more dramatic changes versus Levels. However, there are times when Levels is sufficient to make the minor adjustments you need instead of using Tone Curves, and throughout this course we will use the Levels tool to make some of those minor adjustments. In the next lesson, we're going to talk about another tool that we use throughout the course, and that's the Gradient tool.